this is Zoe Tant, the Tantalising Stamper. Today I'm showing you how to create your own custom stencils using some window sheet and dies. So the window sheet that I'm actually using, if I just put a piece of card underneath it so you can see, is actually from one of the photopolymer stamp sets. I tend to keep them because they're a little bit thinner, and for this sort of thing you want it as close to your cardstock as possible when you actually stencil, but also it's less of a problem for your dies to cut through, so you're not reeling it backwards and forwards through your machine. So I'm using the Christmas Greenery. This is the stamp set, but the dies that go with it, they cut out the stamps, but also you get these lovely leafy effects, and you get the holly leaves and the holly berries. And these I have just launched in the Winter Mini 2025. So it's all part of a mega suite, and it's really gorgeous. So I thought, what better way than to create a holly stencil. So I've positioned those on to there, and I've put the berries on as well, and I'm just going to pop those through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and hopefully just one run through, you can hear it crackling, it will be sufficient, so it doesn't then need to go anymore. Put my dies out of the way safely. Pull these off the machine, just pop that down there and move it out of the way. So I've left the actual leaves in there for the moment, because with a Sharpie pen I'm going to just put a left and a right on there, because I will put them back in to then use this piece as a mask to just stencil that vein in the centre. The berries, unfortunately the little bit of detailing there I think is probably a little bit too small to worry about, so I'm going to take those out completely, put them to one side. But what I will do is use a real red pen afterwards to just add some detailing. I've got a piece of card. I'm going for a square card because I thought it'd be a little bit different. So this piece is 4 3/8 by 4 3/8, and I'm going to start by very gently taking those out, keeping them left and right, and then I'm going to start just a little bit above centre, I think, here. I've got my blending brush, it's already got plenty of ink in, I think, but I've got garden green, yes, a very old linen pad, and I've got real red for the berries. So we'll start off and see how we get on, but I'm going to also tape down. I'm just going to risk, in fact, if I just de-stick, can you see I'm putting it on my sleeve? So I'm just going to de-stick it a little bit to hold that in place at each corner. I've lost my end, where's it gone? Hanging on to washi is really good for this sort of thing. But whatever you do, don't use our new washi with all those beautiful flowers. That's way too pretty not to use. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out on the website. So I've got my stencil in place, so maybe I'll go a bit more central, and then actually I think I will put a little bit of tape just to hold that a little bit steady. I don't want too much because otherwise I'm going to be lifting it with every single move. Take off that harsh excess, and I'm not going to put my finger on it to start off with because I want a nice subtle holly leaf. But then what I will do is very gently push out that vein there and pop it on the left one. Very gently pop out the right one, put that on the right. And I will put more pressure on while I just hold that in place. Hopefully that's enough. And this one, in fact, maybe a little bit of tape on those. I can then lift each one off with. There we go. Just to hold it in place. we can have a peek. Oh, yeah, it's worked okay. Let's just check this one. It's got plenty. And we'll lift that up. We'll very carefully move those out of the way. Then, oh, that one stayed stuck on, that's handy. So if I peel that tape off, it would just keep it in, ready for the next one. And then if we go over here, again, push those down, push this down, and gently add the holly leaf outlines. You've just got to watch you don't go over the edge here, otherwise you'll end up with smears that you don't really want. So, oh no, I need to leave that there. I'm going to put that one back in, and that one will need a little bit of more gentle, because it's going to slide on my desk, I think. So we'll just put that there. We can hold it at that end, and then if we bring back the other one, put that in, and again try and keep our fingers out of the way. And that's creating some really nice subtle veins without it being too heavy. So it'll be quite a sort of a little bit more of a modern card, hopefully. Let's see what we do with this. Go down here, I think, this time. Put that down. Remember, hold it all in place. Pop him back. But I just think this is a little bit more young and fresh as a card design. Oh, I've lost my other one. Oh no, I've got it on my finger. There we go. Oh, we're not going to need to worry about that one, are we? So it's quite nice for younger people. And then we'll go there. Take that off for a second. Move that. And then if we gently peel this, try and get it at sort of like 45 degrees so you don't tear the card. Moment of truth. Perfect. Up there briefly. And I think we could probably just get that one leaf in there, I think. And then we'll have room for some berries for it as well. You just move it around. You can see why I picked a square card and a slightly smaller piece of card, because otherwise this would take you too long. You could cut lots of holly leaves, but then it would be awkward trying to get your veins put on the middle. There we go. I think that's probably enough now. Ooh, just move that one out of the way. So we've got all of those in place, and now we can do the berries. Before I do that, I'm just going to put those somewhere safe so that I could, if I wanted to, use it again. And then I've just got a dryer sheet, used one, that I can then take off the excess green ink off of there. And then I can start to put in some berries. I'm going to tape that down again. I might get a little fresh piece of tape to hold my piece of card. So again, de-stick it on your clothes or something and just catch it on the edge. Don't push it down too hard. I've got some scratch paper here that I can take off some of this ink. Come over here. Right, I need to again be careful with your tape. Those there. Ooh, let's just move that, I think, before we do something silly. Hold on to the corner. Getting these berries. Or perhaps just go for the one. Just get one over there. You want to just be careful because there'll be ink on your desk potentially there. So if I just wipe that away. And that's probably, I think, enough. Let's just get these off carefully. And the other thing you need to be careful of is your fingers. You can see I've caught my fingernails, so you just want to be careful with that. So I have that, and it just so happens that I have a piece of garden green that I've cut at slightly larger than 4 3/8. I think that's actually 4 1/2 that I've cut it at. And I've done myself a square card base, which is 11 inches by 5.5 inches, scored at 5.5. So those two pieces will sit on the card base. But then I want to add a little bit more detail. So what I've done is use the Traditions of Christmas is a mega bundle. Like I said, it has 2 stamp sets and 2 bundles. So 2 stamp sets, 2 die sets. And I've used the Christmas Greenery dies, and then you've got the traditional labels. So I've got the season's greetings out ready, and I've also got the dies, which are lots of labels, as you can see. So if I just show you these, they're all rather lovely, and many of them drop into each other. So they'll layer, is what I'm trying to say. And I've cut that one, and it's really rather lovely, because if you wanted to, you can trim, very easily trim there, and you can take these pennant ends off if you want to make it smaller. And then these layer, and they cut, and they do all sorts of fabulous things. So if I show you the version that I was playing about with beforehand, I've used the blending brush to add ink to some white cardstock, and then I've stamped. On this one I actually used Poppy Parade. Have I used Poppy Parade here as well? Oh yeah, I have. I've gone with Poppy Parade rather than Real Red, but that's okay. And I've done that and kept it really simple. But this one I thought we'd go for a little bit more of a detailed sentiment, and so I've pre-cut one of these in Real Red. Now you've spotted my deliberate error, but it's red shades of red, so they'll be fine. I've got my embossing buddy from the embossing kit, and I'm just going to brush off any static on there. I've got this stamp set, I've got my Versamark, I've got my gold embossing powder, and up here I have my tray to catch my gold powder. But again, I'm just going to wipe that, get rid of the excess from the last project. So we've done that. We'll give it one more wipe for good luck. And then because it's Versamark, I'm going to line it up, and I'm actually going to let it sit for a minute with a bit of pressure, but then let it go so that the ink soaks in well and truly to that. It has. So now I can pour on and get, I've lost my tweezers at the minute. Plenty of powder, tap the excess off. And then I can use my heat tool to just melt the powder. So back in a jiffy. So I'm back. I've got my label. Now I just need to put my powder back into its pot. And if you haven't seen this before, this tray comes with an embossing buddy and a little brush so that you can brush, which I'll just grab. You can brush off the excess. And it also comes with some tweezers, which at the moment I have misplaced. So in the depths of my craft room, they are quietly sleeping. I will hopefully find them at some point. So there we go. And it just saves you wasting your powder, and keeps it from spreading all over your desk, provided you put the lid back on. So I'll put that to one side, all out of the way, take that out of the way. Then I'm thinking that perhaps we could consider, let's have a look what we want here. We could put a sentiment in here and maybe add a die cut holly leaf or two. I had another one somewhere. There it is. So we could put a pair maybe up there in that hollow. Although I think that actually detracts from the image, the imagery going on in the background. So maybe we won't on this occasion. I think we'll stick with keeping it simple, and run with what we have. The one thing that I will do though is grab a red pen, hopefully I've grabbed one, and just add, and I should point out that these markers, if at the time that this video goes live, are now moving to the last chance list. These are water-based colouring pens, not for your children, that you can do lots of things with. You can colour your stamps so that you can get multiple colours on an image before you stamp it. You can colour in stamp outline images that you've stamped. You can colour onto a block. You'll have seen me do this before, possibly. I think it's what we did recently on our last Totally Techniques, and spritz it and then stamp it. So there's lots of things that you can do. So if it's something that you've been thinking about, I would suggest you visit the store sooner rather than later to get your hands on the colours that you want before they are discontinued. Because a lot of people are finding that blends work better for them, but it's personal choice. So there you have it. We've got that. We're going to pop that on there. I think this time I'm going to stick that flat with some seal. And this you just need, unlike the fast views we had before, you just need to be gentle and just lift it off. Ooh, don't stick it on the inside of your card though. I think maybe we'll do it that way. I don't know why I needed to do that with this piece of green, because it wouldn't really matter, but I sometimes think if people hang them on something, that way is easier, isn't it, than that way. And then this one we're going to add with some dimensionals. So if we put them set them in a little bit, we don't need to use too many, and it gives it a bit of stability, and we'll go for one in the middle. I seem to be losing all my tools today. Let's get... I love this hook. It just makes this job so easy. And it keeps them all together, so you can just lift them off and pop them in the rubbish. That's that. Let's turn that over. Ooh, that way. There we go. And then if we pop our sentiment on some, ooh, where have they gone? Sticky pads also. Lift those off. See what I mean? How easy is that? Choose where we want to put it, and I think we'll go there. How about that? So, a really easy card, a little bit fiddly and a bit inky, but actually I think it's quite modern and trendy, and it says exactly what it says on the tin, or does what it says on the tin, and says Happy Christmas, doesn't it? Now, if you wanted to wow it up a little bit, you could add some ribbon, or you can add some of these, which are traditional sparkling sequins, which come from the same mega suite. And you get all these different colours. You've got gold, green, blue, and red. Is that right? Yeah. So, and they're different sizes. So I think to complement the gold, we'll go with some gold. And, oh, I don't want a blue one, thank you. And we'll perhaps just tuck that one under there a little bit. We'll have one up there and a little wee one, and maybe we'll bring him down there into that gap. Yeah, there we go. So move all the clutter, show off the card. I hope you'll have a look at everyone else in the Techniques Totally Techniques blog hop, which is what this card is for. If you're in Europe and in one of our countries where we sell to, then and you don't have a demonstrator, please do check out my shop. You can find it via my blog at stampingscene.blogspot.com, or you can go to the Stampin' Up website and look for Zoe Tant. Thanks for joining me today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.